All right, so I know that in Ms. Zodak's class, you guys have been talking about characterization. And so, and you guys do that in your writing, but I'm also going to talk to you about characterization in reading and being able to figure out what type of characters you have in your books. So we're going to take some notes on that, and that's going to be on page 19 in your notebook. So I'm going to have you go ahead and open that up. It should look like this, if I can get it in focus. There we go. So page 19 is what you should have, and we're just going to take some notes on the different types of characters that you're going to see in books and stories that we end up reading and seeing and all that kind of stuff. Okay? So you're just going to take the same notes that I'm taking, and I know it's a little tiny, and I apologize for that. So if you need to write like off to the side too, because it's too small, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and take these notes. All right, so protagonist. Protagonist is the good guy. Okay, so I'm going to write good guy. This person, they're usually the main character. Okay, so I'm going to write that. Usually the main character. And they are the good guy in the story. All right, I can zoom in on that so you can see it a little bit better. And if I'm doing this and I go too fast, you can always pause and look at that way as well. All right, antagonist is the opposite. So we have good guy, then we have the bad guy. Okay? So bad guy. And this character is usually a person or a thing that is against the protagonist. So this would be like man versus man, like that kind of conflict. Okay? So this is person, or I really don't like writing in pen, but I think you can see it better. Okay, person or thing, the protagonist, and I'm just going to say protag, I'm going to abbreviate that, is against. Okay? Person or thing, protag is against, the bad guy. That's the antagonist. So you're going to see that a lot. So if you think of any like the Marvel movies, you have that protagonist and you have someone else who's against them. That's the antagonist. And they're going back and forth on who's going to win, essentially. Okay? Then we get down to the round character. I'm going to switch colors and pens just so you can see a little bit better. Then we get to round character. All right, so these are different characters that you're going to see. There's 4 of them. You have round character, flat character, dynamic character, and static character. The round character is a character that you know a lot about. You know a lot about them, their thoughts, their thinking, like what their emotion. You know those things, okay? So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to say you know a lot about. Know a lot about. And again, I know it's tiny, so if you need more space, you can figure out how that's going to work for you. This could be the protag, because you're going to know them. Or it could also be the antagonist. So I'm going to put antag. Okay. The story would not be the same. So story, not same without. I'm abbreviating without. Story not the same without this person. And there's some sort of emotional connection. Okay, so again, I'm sorry. I know there's not a ton of room. I'll write smaller maybe on the next one, hopefully. But there should be an emotional connection. Okay, emotional connection. That's a round character. You know a lot about them. You know what makes them happy. You know what makes them sad. You notice what they're thinking. You see it. You can like become that character in a sense, depending on how the author words that information. But you know a lot about that character. Okay, flat character is like the opposite. So as we're going down this, like these things are opposite. Protagonist, antagonist are opposite. So we also have round character and flat character are also opposite. Okay, so we're going to do this. Know very little about this character. Okay, know very little. And it could be anyone. Could be anyone. Okay. The story goes on. Story will go on if they were in there or not. Like the story would happen no matter what, if they're there or not. And then the last one, having that same connection piece, is that there's no real emotional connection. So I'm going to say no emotional connection. So if you're looking at this, you should see that it's basically the opposite of a round character. So these two things are opposite of each other. Round character, you know a lot about. Flat character is kind of like, it's just this person that's there. I don't have a connection with them. The story will go on. It could be anyone, that kind of thing. Okay? All right. We have two other ones we're going to go through, and then we will be done with our notes for characterization. But as you guys are doing these different things and knowing this, we're going to start to learn how to identify all these different types of characters. Because when we start to talk about character change and development, which we'll talk about on the next slide, we're going to have to find that round character. We're going to have to find that dynamic character. Okay, so it gets me down to the last one. So I'm going to change colors again, just to kind of keep it different so you see that. But dynamic character. A dynamic character is a character who changes on the inside. Like they change their feeling, their demeanor. They change. Okay. So I'm going to say changes on the inside. Okay. And this is usually the main protagonist. Okay. Usually the main protagonist. And I abbreviate that to protag. Okay. So they change inside. There's something happening and they're actually changing their demeanor. They're changing their emotion. You see something happening that makes them different. So they start one way and they end a different way. Okay, so dynamic. Then we have static character. Again, this is the opposite. So this character does not change. So doesn't change. This could be the protagonist, or the antagonist. And this one is always a reliable person or reliable at something. So they're very reliable. So always blank. Okay, so they're always blank. So again, they're opposite. But this person, like they're always going to be this. They're always going to be. Think about the Marvel ones. A lot of those antagonists are static characters because they're always going to be against whatever the antagonist or the protagonist is doing. They're always going to be that. So these two things are also opposite. Okay, so these are different types of characters, and you're going to start to, now that you know these, you're going to start to see them in different pieces that you are reading. And I want you to kind of think about that. Like, who is that main character? Who is that round character that I know a lot about? Because usually what will happen is that round character and the dynamic character is going to be that main character throughout the whole story. And that's the character that we are going to focus on when we do our character change and development, to see how and why a character changes throughout a piece of writing or in a story. Okay? All right, so have that. Make sure you take a picture of this as well and put it on the slide that you guys got this video on, and you can move on to the next one.